Yo, what are you doing right now? We are going to get real about men's issues, who Jesus is, and who we are as men in Christ. We're going to hear Trey, Jeremy, Michael, and Brad break it down. These guys call themselves the Cussin' Christians. All right, guys, what is going on?
We're gonna do golf, and then we're gonna go to Typhoon Lagoon.
Ooh,
it's gonna be our weekend.
You're going to the
Typhoon
parks.
Lagoon's good, dude.
What's Typhoon Lagoon?
That's
The water park.
Disney's water park.
They got the best wave pool in Florida, man. There's like a 6-foot wave. Yeah, sure, but the wave's good.
The wave is good.
And you can ride it. Years ago, man, I figured it out where I could time it, and I could stroke so hard that I would catch the wave and I'd ride it in.
Really?
Of course, there's all these people with their floaties, and I'm just.
I was gonna say you're brave, man. That's like
was
going
great.
through a minefield of heads.
Yeah, I did hit one guy that was bigger than me, and it stopped me like dead. And I just went under the water and came up, and he was laughing. I was laughing. I was like, all right, man, it's all good.
Dude, Hunter will stay out there all day.
Yeah,
if
dude.
I let him. He loves
Did you
it.
see today's Bible verse? It's like, give us this day our daily bread. That's all it is. What is that?
What do you
I
mean,
don't know
what is that?
what's the rest of the chapter say.
That's it. I don't know. You got to read it on your own.
Man,
But
you said that every day in church your whole life.
Yeah, it's part of the Lord's Prayer.
I know that, but it's just, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of wimpy.
All right. Well,
Or maybe you could interpret it. Give me what I need today.
give me what I need
Yeah.
today. Maybe you need something here in a couple hours.
Give me what I want or give me what I need.
You
What
need.
you
Need.
That's right.
And you get what you get, and you don't bitch about it, right? Like the Israelites did. And the manna,
We want meat.
When the manna came,
We want meat.
We want
We
meat.
want meat.
I'd like to
mean-
get what I want, but you know.
Yeah.
You ever had quail?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah.
What do you think manna was?
Okay, that's a great one. What was manna?
It's like baklava.
Baklava?
Yeah, it's like a honey, little thin wafer, some honey. Yeah.
With icing
That's
on
what
it?
it is.
Baklava.
Dude, that's good stuff.
I've got pictured manna like meringue. It's like whipped.
Really?
Like,
You know what I
But
thought?
it says it's like a wafer. There's not
That's
like a
what
whipped.
yeah. I thought manna
meringue
was
on the
like the
ground.
wafers we got in the Catholic Church. They called it the
that's what manna
host.
was?
The little, and they melted really quickly when you put them on your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was serving, I'd have to do 6 o'clock mass, and I was freaking famished, man. So we'd have to fill a chalice full of these hosts before we put them out into the altar. I just mouthful of man. I was
Nice.
eating hosts like crazy in the
Was it
morning.
peanut butter or anything?
I wish I had peanut butter, but it was like eating as many hosts as I could.
One definition of manna says that it is bread of heaven, corn of heaven, angels' food, and spiritual meat.
Okay. The
Corn
other
of
thing,
heaven?
yeah. I saw a
make sure you
meme
wash your
yesterday.
knuckle.
I sent this to a couple of people, but a Texan's nightmare.
Yeah.
They go up and they have a sign that says "out of queso" and "out of Dr
Yep.
Pepper."
Yep.
Yeah,
I said that's how it's going to be in the end times.
that's the way it's going to be
No
in the end
queso or
time.
Dr. Pepper.
Queso.
It's
No
like,
queso or
dude,
Dr Pepper.
I don't want to be here anymore. That happens.
Oh man.
So you think manna was like a wafer? I just had it in my mind it was like coming down in globs, like angel food cake, just kind of just sitting there and
Nah.
you said one of the
Meringue?
definitions is angel food.
That's nasty. Meringue sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
Speaking of flying, which we weren't, have you seen the stuff that they collect from people before they get on board? TSA collects.
water.
No, flipping. I saw a machete. They got it in a case. It says you can't
okay.
take this stuff on. But there was a leaf blower. They had a
What?
freaking leaf blower in that case. Can't take a leaf blower on with
I
you.
don't know why I couldn't take a leaf blower on a plane.
So whether
There's a machete this
stupid.
long.
you just got to think like how stupid do you have to be
I know.
to think you can bring a machete in?
Yeah.
Like,
Or a leaf blower.
or what purpose would a leaf blower do you? Would
Yeah,
you
I
want to
don't
carry
know.
that through an airport?
What vacation are you taking where you need a leaf blower anyways?
Job interview? I don't know.
I mean, I know guys that that traveled for work that worked on like CNC machines and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll put all their stuff under the plane. Like they take their tools with them. You know.
You can't take tools on a carry-on, can you? You can check them.
But that's what I'm saying. They would
Okay.
check them. So I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. Is somebody's like, well, I want to, I don't want to check my leaf blower.
I got a story when we were flying my mom down here, after she's diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and the guy opens it up and he goes, "Excuse me, whose bag is this?" And I went, "Oh boy, that's my mom." So mom walks up, she's sitting there, and I'm behind her. I'm trying to give the guy the signal of, "Hey, my mom's got Alzheimer's," you know. But he just wasn't buying it, and he opens up, pulls it out, and goes, "Ma'am, what do you do with this?" And it was one of those Chinese stars that you throw.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, you know those. And I'm like, and I
Why
knew,
is that in there?
I knew it was my brother's when he was young. He got one. He got into that kind of stuff. He'd
Martial arts.
Yeah.
He'd go in the backyard and had a target on the fence and throw. I mean, it's a lethal weapon, right?
Sure.
And my mom, in her Alzheimer's state, said, "Well, that's a gift from my church. It's part of the cross that I had, and there was a cross on it." And she
The Star of David.
She came up with a total BS line as an Alzheimer's patient. And the guy just looks at her, and he looks at me, and I just went, "Yeah, mom's got Alzheimer's, and we're getting her back so she can come live with us." And he puts it back in the purse. Says, "Y'all go ahead."
Wow.
So TSA allowed that thing to go through. That was 7 or 8 years ago.
She's a ninja, man.
My mom was a ninja.
I went through a phase like that when I was in 8th grade, when I had 2 or 3 of those little Chinese throwing stars, and I had one in my wallet, and we'd go around church and we'd stick it in the wall at church.
Yeah. Oh,
I was there too much.
That
man.
was your delinquent
Oh yeah,
stage?
totally.
Oh,
We had a good time with that.
we're talking about
ring.
how culture has distorted so many things in Christianity, and it just keep led. And we made a vow we weren't going to get real political, but
Here we go.
And editing starts.
no, but just in general, what do we as Christians do when politics totally goes against what's written in this book and what we believe? And let me cascade here. And what do we do when we look at a politician that
Satan.
is so pro anti-Christian things? And are we vocal? Do we go? Is the answer to go on Facebook and complain about this guy and call him out? And I'm talking about a couple of the hot point issues. It's abortion. It's the acceptance and of LGBTQ. Black Lives Matter. And we're gonna get just fired at for all these. But I'm just saying, if what their belief is goes against what we believe, and they're in office and they're in power, what lessons from the Bible can we take from Jesus and apply today in how we handle it? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I looked up some stats from Pew Research this morning just about this exact subject, and they gave the top 10. They have a top 10 list. It says nearly 3/4 of Americans say religion should be kept out of the government policies. So 73% say keep the government out. It says that the Johnson Amendment limits political activity by religious organizations, and most Americans, 70%, want churches and other houses of worship to stay out of politics. The Supreme Court ruled in 1962 that it is unconstitutional for a teacher to lead a class in prayer at a public school, but 3 in 10 U.S. Adults said in March of 2021 that public school educators should be allowed to do this.
33%.
33%. Americans are divided on whether local governments should be allowed to put religious symbols on public property. Says only 39% say that should be allowed. While the U.S. Constitution does not mention God, nearly all states' constitutions reference either God or the divine. According to 2017 analysis, God also appears in the Declaration of Independence, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the U.S. currency.
Yeah.
The U.S. Constitution doesn't mention God?
The U.S. Constitution does not mention God.
You're thinking of the Declaration of
You're thinking of
Independence.
the Declaration.
Okay.
of
The Declaration of
Created
Independence
equal.
does.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Christmas Day is the only federal holiday that also is a religious holiday, although many Americans view Christmas as a cultural holiday.
Interesting.
Yep. It doesn't give a percentage, but almost all U.S. presidents, including Joe Biden, have been Christians.
Sorry.
Congress has always been overwhelmingly Christian, and roughly 9 in 10 representatives, 88% in the current Congress, including 99% of Republicans and 78% of Democrats, identify as Christians.
Wow.
The Constitution guarantees that religion can never be required for holding public office, but most Americans don't know this. And then number 10, Americans are divided on the extent of which the country's laws should be reflecting of the Bible teachings. Roughly half of adults say the Bible should influence U.S. laws either a great deal let's see. I'm sorry. Should, yeah. So only 26% or more say the Bible should actually be in the law.
Well, guess what? Most of our laws and things are already based on the Bible. The good things, maybe people don't know it, maybe they don't identify it, but so much of our culture and system is set up on biblical principles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's like what other religion? What would our society look like if it was based on other religions?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think it would look very different, and I don't think a lot of people would like it.
Mm-hmm.
Sharia law.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of them.
Yeah, no, I mean it's funny because like when we talk about like what your reference point is for good and evil, right? Like the Bible defines it for you. It gives you 613 reasons of what not to do to stay good, right? So our laws tend to follow that, but people don't realize that that's what God gave us to say this is your reference point for good and bad. Killing is bad.
Yeah, why is murder against the law? And how much are we as Christians sheep in being led by what's happening in our government? We all agree the corruption that's in our government today, or see it in some form or manner, or we see and I'm not talking about our current president, our past presidents, or whatever, but you see them that you just read it. He's a Christian, but he supports abortion. Where does that? How does that line up? And then what's our responsibility moving forward to help? Number one, pull together and help people see the light, or will they not? Are there scales on their eyes? Are their ears plugged up? What? It's all here, but Jesus said, "Let what Caesar's be Caesar's," right?
right.
So do we let what is our United States government be the United States government and continue on in our walk as Christians without being vocal or trying to convince others of things that go against Christ or go against this book?
That passage is interesting because Jesus didn't, when they were asking him about, should we pay taxes to Caesar, he didn't say, you know what, we need to change the tax laws. Like the taxes are too much. He didn't go that route. He just said, just give to Caesar's what is his, the earthly money, but give to God what is God's, which is like much greater. It's almost like he was concerned about what was greater because he knew what was more important. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, okay, well, Caesar, give him this, maybe it'll shut him up for a while.
And that's the exact attitude that he had was like, whatever.
Right. It was almost dismissive.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about Jesus's discussion with Pontius Pilate, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're a king, I mean, you have no power over me because you have no power. The power was given to you by God.
My Father.
Right? Yeah, by my Father. And imagine us having that conversation with our president, or someone else. I mean, Jesus was firm with that, and then he was very firm with the politics of being with the religious elite, the Jewish religious elite, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and always using the law to challenge them and their legalistic ways and things. So, what lessons can we get from what Jesus did to help us navigate the political climate today, other than just saying, just give it to him? Because Jesus looked at Pontius Pilate and said, no, you have no power. You have no power.
Look at, there's politics in every country, and you've got people that are being martyred for their beliefs, and they take the same attitude that Jesus did, is like, you have no power that isn't given to you by my Father in heaven. And that's basically, as a believer, that's so ingrained in our spirits, it's like, go ahead and do what you got to do. It's like, because I know where I'm going. I'm confident in the fact that I'm a believer, and I know where I'm going, and I'm going to be with the Father in eternity. And it's like, there is no power that you have that isn't given to you by my Father. And as believers, what's nice is the comfort of that is knowing no matter what happens, we're going to be with him in eternity. Right. And I think Jesus was the same way. It's like, I've got a plan here that's going to, that I'm going to have to die on this cross and shed my blood. The shedding of blood is what's going to create this salvation for millions and millions of people. And it's like, do what you got to do. I know, because I'm God, I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to say. I know what the final outcome is going to be. Go for it, bro.
Yeah, I know this country is going to be ripped apart through the dividing line of culture, and people are going to turn from me, but that's what's going to have to take course, right?
Well, so let me ask you guys this. So elections coming up, primaries are coming up.
Yeah, we're 6 months away from the first primary.
Yep, we get to take a vote. Is it a sin to vote in a certain way?
Oh my gosh. Man, you're opening up a can of worms. Let's back up just a little bit. All right. So let's say, how do you vote? Do you vote based on what you feel is who's going to best be the persona of what's happening here in the Bible? Or who's going to get this country moving forward and get us out of the economic mess? What does that look like? And then when you, if your heart is hitting you and you know you're voting against what's here, then your question pops in.
I guess what's your motivation for voting? Is it because you want your side to win, or is it because you're voting for the candidate who's going to uphold the most righteous values?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are some people who believe in the Bible, but they would vote for somebody who they think has a better chance of winning.
Right.
So I don't know, man.
Let's look at the D party, the Democrat Party. They're not the same party that my mom and dad believed in back in the day.
Yeah.
The working man, and it's Kennedy would have been considered a conservative in this day and age.
You're right. Yeah.
So they have gone so far to the left that with the whole agenda that they're pushing now, and people are pushing back, and I don't know what's going to happen, but there's that scripture that says to be in the world but not of the world.
Yep.
And we live in the world, and what gets passed in Washington affects our daily lives. So, but do we get so caught up in the politics of things that I don't anymore? There was a point, man, it was like Fox News junkie, blah, blah. I can't do it anymore. I can't watch it anymore because it is the media is so skewed and so evil. There is no reporting of the news anymore. It's an agenda, and so I don't even watch it anymore. And I've come to the point where it's like, His will be done.
You got a point. Yeah.
Well, if you see, there's a third party emerging right now, and have you seen that? Yeah. What's the name of it? I'm blanking right now, but it's literally for that purpose, because what both sides have figured out is that there's not a candidate that everybody really likes. But one of the reasons they're doing it is because they know that it'll draw enough votes that where it also could help
one particular
side or the other win. So it's interesting. So when you say the question,
the
like
Ross Perot effect.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly it. And they're yet to name the candidate. And basically, what they're saying is, if I remember the news correctly, was they think they can pull enough votes away from Trump to where the other side could win.
Oh, the manipulation, man,
or something like that.
That's why it's pure evil. I'm sorry, it is. It is. It's just pure evil. What's going on in this day and age, and we're at 247 years as a nation, and you've said it before. Rome was what, 250 years old? I mean,
Rome was like 1100, but the average empire in the world lasted about 250 years.
Right.
We're able to create legislation that is stopping some of the evil, but it falls on us. It doesn't fall on politicians, because I get to Washington and it's all BS anyway on both sides of the aisle. That's the way I feel right now. Promise what you're going to promise, and then when I get to Washington, because of all the money that's involved in politics, and that should be taken away, I believe. The average, back in the day when you were a representative, you represented a particular. These guys were like farmers, and they didn't. There was no millions of dollars involved and I'm so sick of it. That's why I don't watch anymore. I can't.
Oh yeah, we see like what the net worth of a president is before, and then once they leave office.
Yeah.
Same with Congress.
How it just like bolsters up there, because to me, pride and money are at the root of most evil. I mean, so.
So as Christians, do we have a responsibility to pay attention to what's going on politically so that we can
do we put our heads in the sand and say, I'm just not going to focus on that, I'm just going to focus?
Well, because I'm with you, Michael. There are times where I will get sucked into that hole where I'm reading stuff and I start getting more upset, and at some point it's like, this isn't beneficial anymore. At some point it's like, I got to stop this so that I can be a productive human being instead of being upset about every little right or left thing that happens. So I don't know where the line is, but I feel like there's a line somewhere that we should be aware of what's happening, because there's an assault on truth, and at some point, we have to know what's going on so we can say that's not right. Like I know what they're saying, and this isn't right. And you have to stand up for truth, but at the same time, you don't want to get to where you're just bogged down in it and you're angry and sad all the time.
And I vote. That's all I can do. Mm-hmm. That's all I can do is vote. And from there on, I can't get involved in all the day-to-day garbage because nobody gets punished, dude. You know, and it's like on whatever, and I know they will eventually because you can't keep doing these things and not suffer the consequences of the behavior. But something in Washington turns people to it's power, it's pure power,
right?
And it's like they thrive on that. It's like an amoeba, man. It just grows, and they continue to just want more and more and more, and they could give a rat's ass about the American public, and that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just trying to stay in power.
Exactly.
And I've worked under managers and people who didn't have any personal conviction. They just did what they thought the people above them would approve of.
Right.
And we all saw through it, and it was just like, how do you respect somebody like that? And I think that's what a lot of politicians do. It's not personal conviction or what they think is best. It's what's going to keep me in office the longest.
There's so many that you see, the one that is passionate and on a mission to make change goes in there to the Hill, and then 10 years later they look at you and they've turned into the power. They say, I went in with this in mind and I came out thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't get anything done. It was just all about something else. It wasn't about prolonging our country in the American way. It was about what I could get for my little stake of land and how much money I could make to move up. You're talking about something else too. I mean, you're sitting there and you're saying, you're scrolling through the news feeds, right? And I go purposely through my little news feed on my phone, and I say, I don't want to see that anymore.
Right.
I don't want to see this anymore. They still keep popping up. But I've got a person who is I'll say he's an acquaintance, not a good friend, but we're very friendly to each other. He professes that he's a Christian, and I watch what he puts on the social media stuff. I think it's about where you get your info and how social media is training us. Because this guy, I know what church he goes to. I see him every week eating breakfast after church, yet he is spewing the stuff back at me without even knowing it, based on the information he gets in from whatever news fires at him. And we're getting divided from the inside by powers to be to create division, as far as I'm concerned. And for everything I read, a friend of mine that might lean a little bit the other way is getting fed information just to support his belief.
Right.
Well, think about deception and confusion is the tool of the devil.
Yeah, big time.
So, I mean, if he can confuse you and get you to think outside of what this book says at its root core, and has you thinking that it's not what it says, right? Then, of course, you're going to take that into a political stance. You'll take it in any stance, right? So, and if he can get Christians to fight amongst Christians, like, here we go, and let's watch the church tear itself apart
Big
from within,
time.
you know?
And it is. We're talking about the Lutheran Sparkle Creed. It's like, okay.
Well, let's be clear. It was one church that happened to be Lutheran.
The Lutheran Church hates this because that's the way the media works. Is, wow, this is a Lutheran thing. It was one church. It was one church, but the damage is done.
Right.
And for the other side, they're going, yes, the whole Lutheran Church is on board with the Sparkle Creed, right?
Well, of course, yeah.
Well, and now we have two very large churches that have left the Southern Baptist Convention. Elevation's one of them because they allow women to preach. And is it Mike Warren out of California?
Rick Warren.
Rick Warren, Purpose-Driven Life.
Yeah, because of the same thing. It's like...
I think as Christians, we feel like anytime we see something that we don't agree with, we feel the need to speak out. But like on social media, because I do have some friends and former coworkers that post very aggressive things that I disagree with. I know. But more often than not, I feel like the Spirit's saying, don't engage. Like, don't get bogged down in fighting with them over this, because it's pointless. And there are scriptures that talk about don't get involved with useless disagreements and arguments and things like that. So we have to know when is it worth it to speak up and when is it not.
I had dinner. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, it's just interesting because, like, I consider myself like a true conservative, not politically a conservative, a true conservative. Like, I don't think the laws should dictate how I live my life. I think unless I'm going to harm you,
Right.
the law shouldn't dictate what I do, right? But then when I think about it, I'm like, well, wait a second. Then there's this thing, abortion, right? So the political side of me would tell you, yeah, fine, whatever. Like, just my instinct is to not start having laws dictate what people can do. But then my spiritual side is like, hey, idiot, like, if you allow this to happen, like, we're talking late-term abortions, like, these are babies that are viable, that we're killing. Like, they're crying as they kill them in the room, this type of thing. And so then I end up kind of finding myself conflicted on my views at that point, you know what I mean? That's a struggle for me, because I truly feel that I don't like the government in my business.
Sure.
I had
Well, you were in politics for a little while, right?
Yeah, I ran for
that's right.
office.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And a very, very Democrat. And I got more votes than any Republican ever did in this particular. So anyway, yeah, and I had some information on my candidate that was damning, and I didn't use it. I'm not going to destroy a man.
Yeah. I've got an example of a local friend that's in politics that's the other side is using some information against him that's not true. And it's just, see a Christian man that loves the Lord so much and serves so much, it breaks your heart. One thing, I was having dinner with a friend of mine last night who, he is a sweetheart of a guy. He is, by the word, born again. He's part of one of my small groups, and his sister and his sisters and brother are on the other side politically from him. And getting to your point of not engaging, he doesn't engage because these brother and two sisters, they are the sweetest people when you're sitting around eating dinner with them and everything else. But they're the ones that get to social media, they turn into monsters.
Right. Sure.
And you just
Social media activists.
Yeah, it's crazy what they do, and it's just, that's another thing. It's just a tool to divide, and they're here politically, they're here spiritually, and don't engage because there's someone waiting for you to engage, and they're probably more prepared than you are
Sure.
to try to debunk your.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, how much time do you spend researching your point so that you can have a good online debate with somebody? It's like, is that really productive? Is that how you want to spend your time?
Yeah.
So we're not saying, put your head in the sand, because I think like real conversations with real people that you're sitting across the table from, you may want to debate some ideas, but online, I just think online it's not productive.
You can hide behind
It's a
it.
waste
It's like
of time.
anything online. It's just,
And there's people that do that for a living, that are sitting in a basement to destroy and to put stuff out on social media, and that's what their job is.
Yep.
And you know that as well as anybody. Mm-hmm. And I don't anymore, because it was getting to the point where I was getting heated, and so I don't go there anymore.
It's funny. I've seen some of these debates go back and forth, and people in the comments will literally they'll put like a GIF of some guy just eating popcorn, just watching, because it's entertainment. It's like WWE,
Right.
Yeah.
And nobody cares who wins. They just want to see people duke it out.
It's good TV.
Yeah, it's entertainment. It's crazy.
It all comes down to does it line up with the word?
and I think truly, like, when I think about, like, the politicians, like, I don't know who would want that job, first of all. Like, I have no interest in being in a public office at any point in time. Like, just good for you, Michael. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you tried it. Was it sobering to you?
but-
Oh, it was all about raising money
yeah.
and who had more signs and where your places. And this guy was taking my signs down.
Which, that's tampering, right?
Yeah, but it's like, whatever, dude.
Well, I guess where I was headed with it, though, is, like, I truly feel like on the other side, and there's people that may be listening to this that are liberal, and listen, I'm not telling you where to sit, right? I really don't care, but it's one of those things where it's like, I think that a lot of times they think they're doing the right things, and what's the saying, like, the path to heavens or path to hell's
Paved with good intentions.
Yeah, so it's like, for me, when I vote, I'm going to vote against things that are glaring issues, right? But unfortunately, both sides have things that are not okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
not like you can pick one. Oh yeah, the Republicans, they follow the word. No, they don't actually.
No,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And the Democrats on that side. So you end up picking the lesser of two evils, or whatever sin you think is, not as big a deal.
Yeah, that's where we've come in the election process now, is what's the less
Right.
what's going to do the less damage, or what, and I'm going to put a checklist of my key topics on a candidate, and I've got 10 key things, and okay, he takes care of 7 of them, but there's still those other 3, and that's kind of how I go through it. So how do you go about, or in any of us, how do we go about when there's another Christian next to us and we're in total disagreement? I know you had a situation within the past few months of a disagreement about a Christian way of life or whatever with a neighbor or somebody.
Yep.
How do we go about addressing that civilly? Do we bring him in here and put him on and let's just talk? A bunch of guys, and the 5th guy actually is different thought than we are, or different political.
Well, then you turn into Fox News, right? I mean, that's
the 5. The 5
if you want to see
Village.
that, like just turn it on Fox, or turn on CNN if you want to see it from the other side. I mean, I don't know. I think to Brad's point, just arguing with each other doesn't do any good, right? The only thing I can do is say, hey, Trey, this is what this says. And you profess you're a Christian, and at the end of the day, read this and tell me how it makes you feel, right? And if you're not convicted against it, then you know what? Like, I don't know why that is. The Spirit's just not talking to you, right?
Yeah.
So
Love the sin and hate the sinner. And I'm getting to that point where
I mean, the other way.
what I just
Love
said.
the sin and hate the sinner. That's my buddy.
Yeah, this Michael's running for office
There
now.
we go.
That's his campaign slogan.
Vote for Michael.
www.michaelthomasforgovernor.com.
There
Love
you
sin,
go.
hate the sinner.
Somebody's going to have to replace
Sin,
the
hate the
Santa.
sinner, baby.
2024.
It's not
But
That's
that's actually
Michael Thomas. Love the sin, hate the sinner.
But that's a really good example of what happens out there, right? Because that clip now exists, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And somebody can take it completely out of context, just like people do in the Bible all the time. They grab a verse,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you forget the before where you're talking about everything except for that, and then the after where you're talking about everything except for that. But that one sentence now blows up, and that's what's wrong with the world, you know?
Hate the sin, love the sinner.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what I do now. That's my philosophy now. I want everyone to feel and just like God does, our Heavenly Father wants everybody to be in eternity with Him. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want. I don't see people black, white, whatever, gay, whatever. It doesn't matter to me anymore. It's all about where are you going, bro?
Yeah.
Where's your soul at? I don't care about politics anymore. I don't care about this agenda, that agenda. It's all about person's heart, their soul, where they going. And if I can shed some light into that darkness, that's what I'm here for.
Well, and at the end of the day, people, like, the whole point in Jesus dying on the cross, our past, present, and future is forgiven, right?
Right.
So, like, I'm going to sin before today's over. I guarantee it, right? I bet every person in this room will, too.
I take comfort in a couple of things, and like you said, if we can have the discussion, I'm going to ask some questions. I'm not going to say, "Don't you know?" I'm just going to say, "Okay, how do you get to this?" Because what I understand through, I'm not sure how you get in there.
Well, that's biblically accurate, right? If you watch what Jesus did, he didn't just come out and say, "No, you're an idiot."
Right.
He says, "So what does the law say about this?" Well, I say that.
Right.
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 And so you're walking like Jesus. And,
Yeah. So so this is how. So let's figure out how you came to that. And I'm guilty of this too. 9 times out of 10, someone says, "Well, that's what I heard," or "That's what I read," or "That's what my pastor said," or whatever. But at the same time, if you can just kind of create that conversation of, politically, how do you come up with that you vote for a pro-abortion candidate? And you can have that discussion without trying to be judgmental or threatening. And then you have to leave it at that. And, it's like Jesus said, cast the nets. I'm going to sort them out later. Catch all the fish, and I'll sort them out. There's a new favorite song of mine. I'm an Aaron Lewis guy. I love Aaron Lewis music.
From Stain.
Yeah, he's gonna be doing an acoustic show at the King Center.
I saw him there once.
Did you?
Oh, it was awesome.
But that one song, he said, do what you got to do, because everybody talks to God sooner or later. Everybody talks.
Every
to
knee
him.
will bow and every tongue will confess
And-
that Jesus is Lord.
Yeah, and so he's got some cool songs about the
neat.
Christian walk, but everybody talks to God. So, all right, not sure how you lean politically, but
you can guess how we do.
you can guess how we do. But at the same time, we want to have compassion for those that don't believe the same way we do, and have these constructive conversations without a debate. And this
Exactly.
is what, you can tell me why you believe something, and I'm going to ask you, okay, you believe that, this is what I believe. Where's the common ground? Well, the one thing we can all come to an agreement on is we're all going to be coming together. Democrats, Republicans. Oh, it's going to get ugly, man. It's going to be Catholics and Baptists and Lutherans in the same building, Methodists and Episcopals. On September 9th, all of them are coming together under one roof. And we're going to raise hands and celebrate and worship with our buddies.
That's great.
Zach Williams coming to town for the Break the Chains.
That was a nice segue, dude.
I know, man. I just took care of it.
Have you been in radio before?
I know. I don't know. I'm always looking for that segue. And but there's officially 500 tickets left for the night.
Okay.
And Zach Williams and his team started their social media blitz yesterday. I saw it all over. Got the email from them. We got local Z88.3 Positive Hits Orlando. We got Space Coast Dailies come on board to help us out. We want to give a shout out to Grill's restaurant chain here in Brevard County that have come to help us out.
Gotta love Joe.
Gotta love Joe. Also Pizza Gallery and Grill.
Love Chris.
Amazing. We have the Long Doggers guys are going to be helping us out. Feed Zach's team.
Love Jeff.
Love Jeff. And who else can I hit?
By the way, that was one of the best church services ever to come out and have Long Doggers waiting on you.
The hot dogs
Right,
after?
yeah, before the
Oh,
4th of
man.
July.
Ooh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're in Brevard County, you got to check out Grills, Riverside, or the Port. You got to check out Pizza Gallery and Grill in 28 North with our buddy Chris Canine over
Chris Morales, the chef's there.
Chris
Yeah, dude.
Morales.
Have you
is
been
in
there
it.
since he's
Yes,
been?
I
Oh,
have,
bro.
dude. He's bringing it. Chris is. But anyway, we have all these Christian community businesses that are coming together to help us bring Zach Williams here. And it's less than 2 months away. And it's going to be a great night. We're finishing the video work up for it now. And we just want you to join us. So go to kingcenter.com. Click on it. Get your seats. There's about 500 left, and by the history of the tickets being sold, if we maintain what we're doing now, we're going to be sold out probably in about 4 weeks. So
Awesome.
That'll be cool, and we'll all be there and celebrate. So all of us under one roof: cats, dogs, Democrats, Republicans.
That's right, baby.
The world it's apocalyptic. What's going to happen with everybody under one roof, worshiping one God with one amazing storyteller. With a testimony that is what Impact Ministries is. If you want to know what Impact Ministries is about, go to impactministries.org and check us out. And you can join us in discovering grace one man at a time. So with that said, I'm Trey.
I'm Michael.
I'm Brad.
I'm Jeremy.
We are the
Cussing Christians.
I was in
Hate this.
Embassy Suites in California, and the old guy in a wheelchair was checking in, and he noticed, he said, "Oh, man, I love the back of that shirt. Discovering grace one man at a time."
That's it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I I'll tell you off air because I don't want to.
Did you tell him that you hate sinners and that you love sin?
I asked him if he was a Democrat or Republican first.
We're out with that one.
Don't cast judgment.
No judgment. We love y'all.